We're here today to mark the opening of a remarkable $2.3 million reclamation and renewal project on this mile of the Greenway along the Charles River. But in particular, we're here to celebrate the official opening of the Blue Heron Bridge here. I suppose I'm one of many people here who probably thinks of it as the Driscoll Bridge, but it is formally known as the Blue Heron Bridge.
Thanks to DCR and to all of the advocates and all of the officials who did such a great job in making this a reality. The Charles River is an extraordinary natural resource, and this bridge and this path and DCR's perseverance in pursuing this bridge and this path have really led to the enhancement of this beautiful natural resource, and is going to be an asset and a thing of pride and joy for generations to come. So I thank you for your advocacy, for your perseverance, and your foresight and vision. And I was so glad as I saw the dozen Canada geese down there that you had the good judgment to name this the Blue Heron Bridge rather than the Brown Canada Geese Bridge.
It does take stick-to-itiveness and perseverance, and I look around and I see many faces that I know have been working at this for years and years. And I particularly want to recognize Dan Driscoll. I know he's probably going to say a few words later, but I just want to let all of you know how much I appreciate the work that Dan Driscoll has done over the years. And
this is just such a beautiful oasis in a very dense urban area. And we need to think as creatively as this in the future as we continue these wonderful projects. I have a 2-year-old son, and we do a lot of walking along the Watertown end of the path, and it is just, you forget that you're in an urban area, and that is really, you know, just such a gift and such a joy that when you see government working together with communities to make something just so peaceful and beautiful and in a place where our family can come and exercise and enjoy one another's company, and really put it back to the way nature truly intended it to be, which is just nature and activity and beauty, and I just look forward to the next phases as we go along. And like Kay, we came in together in the same year, and I remember when this was just sort of a glimmer in the eye, and I've now been there long enough that you can actually see the results years later through the wonderful leadership of Dan Driscoll and others. And it was MDC when we got here, but now DCR, and I just look forward to all the other creative projects that happen not just here but throughout the state.
We are very fortunate to have the vision of Dan Driscoll and the cooperation of all the communities to put this together. So the only thing I want to say is thank you to all of you, because my parents' dream has been realized again, that the Charles River will be utilized as a very peaceful, place for everybody to enjoy.
Unlike the Charles River Basin down in Boston and Cambridge, these 6 miles have been developed with an emphasis on sort of wildness, on wildlife habitat, enhancement of water quality, and they provide, as Representative Caprillion was saying, this remarkable sort of wild experience almost in the middle of the city. One of the wonderful things that has happened in the course of this is that we've provided new transportation opportunities for people, both for weekend use and for commuting during the collaboration that this project is involved has been mentioned repeatedly this morning. Of course, in addition to the support of the congressional and the state legislative delegations, the Highway Department and the Executive Office of Transportation have done their bit. They have helped us secure about $1.75 million in funding for this corridor. Secretary Cogliano at the Executive Office of Transportation and the new Commissioner of the Highway Department, Louisa Paiwanski, I know have this sort of project very much in their minds and their priorities, and have been good partners up to this point and I know will be very good partners with us as we build upon what's been done here.
Dan and I got together, I believe, in March. There's a globe photograph floating around someplace. We both look a little younger, Dan, I have to say, a little less gray, holding a map of this area, a picture of this area, aerial photograph of this area, and talking about this wonderful recreation of a park. And of course, I believe the reporter went on and on about how difficult this would be and that it was unlikely. You know, you create parks like this and instantly there are thieves on mountain bikes. I know all of us, as we drive down the street, see all those guys with mountain bikes with the big TVs on the back that they stole. Anyway, Dan went through, actually we all went through, we shared this some with Dan, but Dan went through it mostly by himself. A very painful process between 91 and about 94 and 95 to get the permits and the permission from city aldermen, and we won't name names at this point because everybody's pretty much behind the result. But there is a story that will stick with me for a long time. Dan had come from a particularly contentious 1993 meeting of the Newton aldermen and was convinced that nobody else in the world wanted this park to exist except him and perhaps me. And so he went over to Forest Grove Park, which is just up the river here, and was sitting there along the banks of the Charles, and was pretty much despondent and was about to toss in the towel when he, as he was sitting there at dusk, about 30 to 35 black-crowned night herons came in and surrounded him. And the inspiration there was, well, if they don't want it, I'm going to do it for you. And so he persevered.
Among the nonprofit conservation and community groups, other than Charles River Watershed Association, who've been involved along the way, are the Newton Conservators, Waltham Citizens for Open Space, the Trustees of Reservations. I know many of these, including the trustees, are represented here today. Massachusetts Audubon Society, Charles River Canoe and Kayak, which is represented here today, and the Charles River Conservancy. And we are grateful to the many hundreds of citizens whose love of the river has led them to throw just countless hours into realizing this vision. And I want to thank Carol Burney, the photographer whose wonderful photographs are here in this amazing brochure that many of you have seen. Which is just a wonderful compliment to Dan's great work on the bridge and the rest of the project. I don't know how many of these brochures we have today, but DCR does have these available, and they're just gorgeous. So if you don't have one, pester us and get one. And then others who helped design and build the project, the design team from Carol R. Johnson Associates, Bruce Leach, Ruth Westcott, and Harry Fuller, who are here today, T.I. Lynn International, Chris Lindy, and maybe folks who could the folks from Carol Johnson stick their hand up? DNC Construction, do we have Brad Cleaves? And I guess Whitey Morris, the project manager, and Dave Hatch may be here as well. The project manager, Dan Driscoll, who I don't need to say anything more about. We have a certificate for him as well, which reads, we can resume the applause later on. It should go on for hours. But the certificate reads, an appreciation for many years of leadership and dedication in an effort to realize the vision of the Upper Charles Greenway Reclamation Project. Your commitment to building successful partnerships has played an important role in the creation of this significant natural and recreational area, and is notably demonstrated in the construction of the Blue Heron Bridge and the other pathways along the river. Now, following, why don't I turn the mic over to Dan for just a moment, and then he's agreed to lead a walk along here. I have been told that Dan has been found out along the river doing maintenance himself in the future, and it is my commitment as the new DCR commissioner to ensure that Dan can move on to the next wonderful project without having to worry about going back and do maintenance on the things that he built yesterday.
Thank you all, and I want to just quickly re-emphasize the critical importance of the team that's been out here. I've gotten, if anything, over-credited, and I appreciate all the credit. It has been a long road, and Bob was critical as in some ways, my sole source of support outside of Julie O'Brien. And I want to mention Julia again because her vision in instilling patience in me, which wasn't always my virtue, was greatly helpful. So I'm really appreciative to all of that. I just want to say that, you know, what this place was before was something that was reflective of generations of times gone by, and I think that what it's reflective of now is a generation of our time is something we can all be incredibly proud of. We've really developed a legacy out here that each day that goes by, the undocumented magic that happens for people in reconnecting to nature in a place they can walk to from their homes is valuable beyond what anybody could measure. And with that, I just want to close by saying I really want to thank all the animals out here, and I really do believe on many levels for both CRWA and the DCR that it's those animals and the beauty of them that call upon our conscience to come out here and heal their home, and in doing that help heal ourselves. And I'm greatly appreciative to all of you for coming out here today. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll pause in our continuing effort to embarrass Dan and do a ribbon cutting, and then Dan will lead a walk along the river. Bob, you're standing here with us.
All right. I was just checking out how clear the river is.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.